After being reborn, clutching my ID card, I rushed into the bank. I closed that savings account ending in 666 for good. In my past life, Gao Lang was always claiming his business was short on cash flow, constantly borrowing my card to move money around. I was so head over heels in love that I even set my password to his birthday. It wasn't until the debt collectors kicked down the door that I saw my name as the emergency contact on the loan contract. Every deposit in my bank statement went to Gao Lang's gaming account and luxury stores. I confronted Gao Lang with the transfer records. He's hugging his new fling, trying on the Rolex I charged on my card. In the scuffle, he pushed me, and the back of my head hit the edge of the counter. I saw a message pop up on his phone. Mr. Gao, the online loan applied for using Ms. Lin's information has been credited to your account. When I opened my eyes again, the calendar on the desk was turned to the very day Gao Lang first asked to borrow my card, and his WeChat message was still flashing on my phone. Babe, let me borrow your card to transfer some money. I'll pay you back right away. Would I be that foolish again in this life? Gao Lang, just wait for the consequences of your actions. Fingers hovered over the ATM screen for 3 seconds. I finally pressed the confirmation button. The moment the machine swallowed the savings card with the last 3 digits 666, I heard my heart racing. It felt like it was about to leap out of my throat. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It's Gao Lang. My fingertips tingled when his name popped up on the screen. Visions from my past life suddenly flooded my mind. He stood at the luxury counter with his new lover, his Rolex wristwatch gleaming under the lights that was charged to my card. I rushed over and tugged at his sleeve. The impatience in his eyes when he turned around was as cold as ice. Have you had enough yet? He pushed me with considerable force. I staggered back, hitting the edge of the counter with the back of my head. Does it hurt? It doesn't seem to hurt. My vision suddenly went black. The last thing I saw was his phone screen lit up. The content of the text message was etched into my mind. Mr. Gao, the online loan applied for using Su Qingyan's information has been credited. Su Qingyan, that's my name. The phone kept buzzing. The buzzing grew more insistent. I took a deep breath and hit decline as I turned to leave. The glass door of the bank lobby reflected my face, pale complexion, dark circles under the eyes, as if haunted by nightmares of a past life for too long. But the eyes are bright, bright like tempered steel. Gao Lang, this lifetime you owe me, and I want you to pay back double. Bit by bit. Just as I stepped out of the bank, my phone rang again. This time it's a landline number. The caller ID showed it was a local number. I stared at the screen for a couple of seconds. I swiped to answer. Is this Ms. Su Qingyan? Asked a mechanical female voice from the other end of the line. This is Dingxing Investment, Mr. Gao Lang has applied for a loan in your name, and we need your confirmation. I hung up the phone immediately. Block this number. The action was swift and without a moment's hesitation. It was this exact phone call in my past life. Back then, I naively asked, what loan? I don't know anything about it. Then the person on the line said Mr. Gao had provided my ID photo and bank card details, and that if I didn't confirm, it would affect my credit score. I panicked. I called back, hoping to explain. From then on, I fell into a bottomless pit. The phone fell silent. The sunlight fell on me. Feeling a little warm, I looked up at the sky. It was a piercing, brilliant blue. It was Friday. There were 3 hours left until Gao Lang would ask to borrow my card for the first time. 7 days remain until he tricked me into signing that guarantee contract. 3 months remain until my parents were forced to move out overnight due to debt collector calls. It's still not too late. I clutched the bank card cancellation receipt in my pocket, fingers turning white. Gao Lang, the game begins. This time, the rules are mine. Chapter 2, Probing. When I returned to the office, the receptionist girl gave me a strange look. Su Jia, you look really pale. I twitched my mouth but didn't say anything. I ran into the department manager in the elevator. He gave my shoulder a pat. Qingyan, keep a close eye on that deal with Gao Lang this afternoon. I nodded, but my fingertips were trembling. That's exactly how the partnership went down in my past life. Gao Lang said the client insisted on using a personal account and asked to borrow my bank card for a day. It's just a quick transfer. I'll give it right back. He smiled gently then, his eyes twinkling like stars. I was fooled by that star. It led to my family's ruin. In the office, Gao Lang was already sitting at the desk across from me. He's wearing a white shirt today, with the sleeves rolled up to his forearms. He showed off the watch on his wrist. I bought it last year for his birthday. I saved my salary for 3 months and bought him an Omega. Now, looking at it, it only feels ironic. He looked up, saw me, and smiled. Qingyan, you're here. Your voice is still so lovely, like the lower register of a cello. I used to love listening to him talk. Now it just sounds grating. Didn't sleep well last night. He raised an eyebrow, his gaze falling on the dark circles under my eyes. I responded and pulled out a chair to sit down. I deliberately slowed down the action of turning on the computer. I was waiting for him to ask to borrow my card. Sure enough, He knocked on my desk. Oh, right, the client is transferring the payment this afternoon. Can I use your card? Here it is. My grip on the mouse tightened. A document popped up on the screen. The unfinished proposal from last night. I stared at the screen, not looking at him. My card got swallowed yesterday. The voice was calm. Dowling paused for a moment. Swallowed. Well, the ATM malfunctioned. I turned to look at him, forcing a smile. Just went to the bank to cancel it. His smile froze for half a second. He quickly regained his composure. What bad timing. Yeah, I lowered my gaze, pretending to look through some papers. Use someone else's. He didn't say a word. I could feel his eyes on me with a scrutinizing look, as if judging whether I was lying. After a moment, he finally spoke. Fine. I'll ask someone else. There's nothing unusual in the tone, but I know he's suspicious. That's fine. Let him know early on that I'm not the fool I used to be. 3 p.m. The client's payment has arrived. Gao Lang used another girl's card from the same department. I watched him holding his phone, smiling at that girl with such tenderness, just like he used to with me. It felt like a pinprick to my heart. It didn't hurt. It's just a bit numb. That girl's name is Meng Yao. In her past life, she was also deceived by Gao Lang. He swindled 50,000 yuan out of her. Later, she came to me in tears, saying Gao Lang had vanished. At that time, I was in no position to help anyone myself. I could only watch her cry. In this lifetime I can't let her walk into the fire again. As I was leaving work, Meng Yao called out to me, Sister Sue, Gao Lang said he's treating us to dinner tonight to thank you for helping me out this afternoon. I paused in my steps. I turned back to look at her. The girl's eyes lit up. She clearly had a thing for Gao Lang. Why did he ask you to dinner? I asked. He said, he thinks I'm a nice person. Meng Yao lowered her head, a little embarrassed. I took a deep breath. Meng Yao, I looked into her eyes and said word by word, stay away from Gao Lang. She froze. Sister Sue, you listen to me. I interrupted her. Don't ask why. With that, I turned and left. I didn't look back. I don't know if she'll listen, but I've said all I needed to say. Stepping out of the office building, my phone rang. It was my mom, Qing Yan. Are you coming home for dinner tonight? Your dad bought ribs. The moment I heard her voice, my nose tingled with emotion. Tears almost fell. In my previous life, my mother's last words to me were at the gate of the nursing home. With red eyes, she scolded me. How could I have raised such an ungrateful child? After that, she fell ill. I went to the hospital to see her, but she kept her eyes closed, not even lifting her eyelids. Mom, I gripped my phone tightly, my voice a bit hoarse, as I replied, okay, I'll wait for you. After hanging up the phone, I stood by the roadside, watching the bustling traffic. The sunlight stretched the shadows long. That's wonderful. They are still here. They still call me home for dinner. Gao Lang, look, this is what I must protect. If you dare touch it again, I'll make you regret the day you were born. Chapter 3, The Transfer. The aroma of braised pork ribs greeted me as I pushed open the front door. My dad was busy in the kitchen, wearing an apron. Hearing the noise, he poked his head out to look. You're back? Yeah. I changed my shoes and walked over. The white hairs at his temples seemed fewer than I remembered. I felt a wave of relief. In his previous life, he had gone gray overnight due to relentless debt collector calls. Dad, let me help you. No, just sit and rest. He pushed me away, saying your mom is picking vegetables in the living room. My mom sat on the sofa, holding a string bean in her hand. He saw me and smiled. Tired? Have a drink of water first. There's a glass of cold boiled water on the tea table. I picked it up and took a sip. The water is sweet. It tastes like the flavor of my childhood. During dinner, my dad suddenly brought up Gao Lang. That young Gao seems quite attentive to you. My chopsticks paused for a moment. Dad, how did you know? Last time I was downstairs at your office, I saw him bringing you bubble tea. My mom chimed in. That young man is quite handsome and polite. My heart skipped a beat. So it started that early. Mom, he's just a colleague. Just a colleague. My dad raised an eyebrow. The way he looks at you is more than just collegial. I put down my chopsticks. Dad, Mom, I need to tell you something. They all looked at me. Stay away from Gao Lang from now on. My mom was momentarily stunned. What's wrong? Did he do something to upset you? No. I shook my head. I just think he's not a very good person. I couldn't very well tell them that this guy would end up making them lose their home. You silly child. My dad frowned. You shouldn't speak ill of others so casually. I'm not saying anything bad. Just watch them, listen to me, and don't associate with him, especially when it comes to money. My mom thought about it and nodded. Okay, Mom will listen to you. My dad didn't say anything, but he didn't object either. I felt a little more at ease. At least, they won't easily believe Gao Lang. After dinner, I helped clear the table. My phone rang in the living room. It's Gao Lang. My mom went to pick him up. Hello. Oh, you're looking for Qing Yan. She's doing the dishes. Okay, I'll have her call you back. After hanging up, she looked at me with a somewhat suggestive look in her eyes. Xiao Gao is looking for you. I wiped my hands and picked up my phone. I walked to the balcony before calling back. Hello, Qing Yan, are you home? His voice was bright and full of laughter. Yeah, Meng Yao just told me you asked her to stay away from me. I knew it, Meng Yao finally told him. I leaned on the railing, watching the street lights downstairs. Yes, why? His voice grew deeper. Not for any particular reason. I just don't think you're right for her. Who am I right for, then? He suddenly asked. I was momentarily stunned. Then I smiled. Well, it's just not for me. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Qing Yin, you're acting strange today. Am I? I fiddled with the hem of my clothes. Maybe I'm just tired. How about going to the movies together this weekend? He changed the subject. No, I have plans tomorrow. What plans? None of your business. With that, I hung up the phone, blocked him. The whole sequence was smooth as silk. In my past life, I cared too much about his feelings, which is why he was able to lead me by the nose. This life, it's unnecessary. Just as I put my phone back in my pocket, I received a text message. It was from the bank, reminding me that my savings card ending in 3791 has received a deposit of 5,000 yuan. I was taken aback. I just opened this card today. No one knows the card number except the bank who would send me money. Opened the transfer record. The payer's name was unfamiliar, but the note said, transferred by Gao Lang. My heart skipped a beat. Gao Lang, what is he up to now? 5,000 yuan, just the right amount. It was the exact amount he borrowed from me for the first time in our previous life. Back then, he said his mom was sick and urgently needed the money. Without hesitation, I transferred him my freshly received salary. Only later did I find out he used that money to buy a bag for his new lover. I stared at that text message for a long time. My fingertips were ice cold. He's testing me, testing to see if I'm really on my guard against him. If I return the money, he'll know I've truly changed. If I accept it, he'll think I'm still that gullible fool he can manipulate. I took a deep breath, opened the transfer details, find the payer's bank card number, then transfer 5,000 yuan back. The note only says, not lending. After finishing all that, I put my phone on silent. I turned and went back to the living room. My mom was sitting on the sofa watching TV. She saw me and smiled. Who were you on the phone with? It took so long. A colleague. I walked over, sat beside her, and said, Mom, let's go on an outing next week. My mom's eyes lit up. Great. Your dad has been wanting to go for a while. Watching her smile fills my heart with warmth. Gao Lang, no matter what tricks you try to pull, I won't let you ruin my life anymore. Chapter 4. The evidence. I woke up early on Saturday morning. Sunlight filtered through a gap in the curtains, casting a band of light across the floor. I picked up my phone and opened WeChat. Gao Lang's WeChat was still blocked. I felt a little more at ease. I got up, washed up, and changed my clothes. Before I left, my mom shoved a bag of bread into my hand. Eat on the way. I'm going somewhere today. In a past life, Gao Lang had a secret base. It was the apartment he rented. He hid a lot of things there, including the contracts where he borrowed money using my information, and his chat records with other girls. It was only after his death, while sorting through his belongings, that I accidentally discovered that place. I remember the address to this day, clear as a bell. It was in an old, rundown residential complex on the city's outskirts. The taxi ride there took 40 minutes. At the complex's entrance gatehouse sat an elderly security guard. He squinted at me and asked, who are you looking for? I'm here for Gao Lang, I said, giving his name and apartment number. The old man looked me up and down, said nothing more, and waved me in. It seems Gao Lang often brings different girls here. The old man is no longer surprised. As I entered the hallway, a musty smell hit me. The walls were peeling, and the stair railings were rusty. I held onto the railing and climbed up. 3rd floor, room 302. The door is closed. I stood at the door, taking a deep breath. In my past life, I broken by picking the lock. This time, I prepared in advance. I took out a set of keys from my bag. I had someone make them for me yesterday. In my past life, I found the spare key that Gao Lang had hidden in that apartment. It was tucked away inside the fire hydrant box by the door. Sure enough, I found it right there. I slid the key into the lock and gave it a gentle turn. Click. The door opened. A faint scent of perfume mingled with smoke wafted in, exactly the same as the scent in my memory. The apartment is small, just a one-bedroom. The decor is very simple, yet a woman's touch is evident everywhere. Lipstick, earrings, dresses. Clearly, more than one woman had been here. I walked into the living room, and my gaze fell upon the coffee table. A laptop was sitting on it. It was Gao Lang's. In my past life, I found all his incriminating evidence on this computer. I walked over and turned on the computer. A password is required. I entered my birthday. No, tried his birthday next. That wasn't it either. Frowned. In his past life, his computer password was the pinyin of my name. Could it have changed? I feel a bit panicked. If I can't open the computer, I won't find the evidence. I took a deep breath and tried hard to remember. In my past life, how did I open it? It seems like I tried entering Meng Yao's name in pinyin. The screen lit up. The password was correct. My heart skipped a beat. He had used Meng Yao's name as the password. It seems he's serious about Meng Yao, or is it just a passing fancy? No time to think about this. I opened the folder. Sure enough, There was a lot of stuff inside, a folder named contracts. Click to open, it was full of scanned loan agreements in the borrower's column. My name was written in stark clarity, Su Qingyan. The emergency contact was my parents' phone number. The date was 1 month before I was hounded for debt in my previous life. There are many other girls' names as well. Meng Yao's name is included too. Loan amounts range from 5,000 to 50,000. My hands are trembling. This evidence is enough to ruin him. I took out my phone and started taking pictures. I took them one by one, making sure they were clear. Then I backed up these photos to the cloud, sent to another of his own email addresses. After doing all that, I opened another folder. Inside were screenshots of chat logs, Gao Lang's flirtatious conversations with different girls. He says pretty much the same thing to every girl. I only like you. I'll take you to meet my parents after I get through this busy period. Those women were just for show. That made me sick to my stomach. I must have been blind in my past life. I can't believe I fell for such nonsense. Keep scrolling. I came across his chat history with an unfamiliar number. The contact was saved as Brother Wang. Gao Lang. It's time to repay that loan for Su Qingyan. Brother Wang. Just a few more days, please. I'll have the money soon. Don't play games with me. If you don't pay up, I'm going to her parents. No, 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 Brother Wang. I promise I'll pay. The date was 3 days before I was due to be chased for the debt. Turns out, he knew he was going to be chased for the debt all along. She didn't tell me anything at all, letting me remain in the dark, even watching as debt collectors pushed me to the brink. Tears suddenly fell, slammed on the keyboard. A small blot of water spread out. I quickly wiped away my tears. I can't cry. This is not the time to cry. I took photos of these chat records one by one. My fingertips brushed the keyboard, accidentally knocking into the photo frame on the corner of the desk. Glass was shattered all over the floor. In the photo, Gao Lang had his arm around a girl, both of them beaming. I knew that girl. She's the director at our company. Li Man, 35 years old, divorced, and holding plenty of resources. In my previous life, I only found out after being fired that Gao Lang had already hooked up with her using the money he had scammed from me. Buy her a bag, buy her a car. How ironic. I crouched down and carefully picked up the photograph. I put it into my own bag. This is evidence too. Suddenly, the sound of a key turning in the lock came from outside the door. My heart leaped into my throat. Someone's back. Is it Gao Lang or another woman? No time to think. I quickly shut down the computer and put everything back in order. Then, he quickly walked to the bedroom. He hid in the wardrobe. The wardrobe was filled with women's clothes. The scent of perfume became stronger. I covered my mouth and held my breath. The door opened. Footsteps entered. It was a man's voice on the phone. Got it, Brother Wang. I'll definitely pay you back next week. Don't worry. I've already handled Su Qingyan. She's still head over heels for me. It's Gao Lang. My nails dug deep into my palm, completely devoted. He really has the nerve to say that. Alright, that's it for now. Someone's here. He hung up the phone. Then, a woman's voice came. Who is it? It's Li Man. It's nothing. Just a debt collector. Gao Lang's voice was tinged with impatience. Did the debt collectors come looking for you again? Li Man's voice sounded a bit worried. How much exactly do you owe? Not much. I'll pay it off soon. Gao Lang reassured her. Oh, by the way, could you lend me some money? Didn't I just transfer you 50,000 last time? That's not enough. Gao Lang, what exactly are you doing? Li Man's voice raised a bit. If you keep this up, we won't be in contact anymore. Come on, sister man. Gao Lang's voice softened. I'm working on a major project. You know, once it's done, I'll repay you tenfold, 100-fold. What project? This? I can't say for now. I can see right through your lies. I didn't. Then came the sound of a struggle, followed by Li Man's scream. Let go of me. Gao Lang, you're hurting me, sister man. Please help me one more time. Just once. Gao Lang's voice was frantic. I don't have any money left. How can you have no money? Didn't you just sell that apartment? That's my son's tuition fee. Let me borrow it for now, and I'll pay you back as soon as I have the money. Dream on. Don't blame me if I don't hold back. Gao Lang's voice turned vicious. I hid in the wardrobe, trembling all over. In my past life, how did I fail to see what kind of man he was? Mad, obsessive, and willing to do anything for money. The noise outside is getting louder. There's the sound of something breaking and Li Man's cries. I take out my phone and switch it to recording mode. Extend the phone out through the gap in the wardrobe. Try to record as clearly as possible. About 10 minutes passed. The outside grew quiet. Only the sound of Li Man's sobs could be heard. Gao Lang, you beast. Money, I can give you. Gao Lang's voice was calm. But you have to do something for me. What is it? Transfer Su Qingyan to the branch company for me. My heart sank suddenly. Is he trying to transfer me away? Why transfer her to the branch office? Li Man wondered. She's been a bit disobedient lately. Gao Lang's voice turned cold. It's easier to control her from a distance. What are you planning to do with her? Don't ask questions you shouldn't. Gao Lang cut her off. Just tell me, are you going to help me or not? Li Man remained silent for a long time. Okay, I'll help you. That's more like it, sister man. Gao Lang's voice softened again, promising to repay you. Handsomely once my business is done, no need, I'll transfer the money to you. From now on, we're even sis, don't call me that. Footsteps sounded, Li Man left, the door was slammed shut with a bang, only Gao Lang was left in the room. He seemed to be drinking, the sound of bottles clinking, then came his monologue. Su Qingyan, did you really think canceling the card would work? Did you think making Meng Yao stay away from me would stop me? How naive, I have copies of your ID and all your bank card details. Trying to get rid of me, dream on. In this life, you're still going to be my personal ATM. My heart sank bit by bit, so that's how it is. He had already prepared a backup plan. He still has my information. Wouldn't all my efforts today be in vain? No, I can't give up. I still have evidence. I recorded his conversation with Li Man. I found his loan contract. All of this is evidence of his crimes. Gao Lang, just wait. I won't let you get away with this. A little while later, Gao Lang seems to have left the room. Fell completely silent. I hid in the wardrobe for a long time. Only when I was sure he was really gone did I dare to come out. The room is in complete disarray. The vase is shattered all over the floor. The table has been overturned. There are bloodstains on the floor. Is it Li Man's? I feel a chill in my heart. I walked into the living room and picked up my bag. I quickly walked out. The moment I closed the door, I heard my own heartbeat, like a drumbeat. I walked downstairs. The sunlight was blinding. A chill ran through my entire body. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a text message. It was from the company's HR department. Su Qingyan, after careful consideration by the company, you are being transferred to the branch office. Report for duty next Monday. Here I come. Gao Lang's actions are really swift. The branch office is in the neighboring city. It's over 200 kilometers from here. He wants to transfer me away from my parents. Then, he'll brazenly use my information to take out loans, leaving me utterly helpless, with nowhere to turn for help. What a beautiful dream. I stared at that text message. A cold smile curved my lips. Gao Lang, you want to play? I'm in. All the way. A transfer to the branch office. Is that it? Sure, let's see what happens. What tricks can you pull? Chapter 5. Transfer order. When I got home, it was already afternoon. My mom was startled when she saw me. You look so pale. What's wrong? It's nothing, Mom. I'm just a bit tired. I put my bag on the sofa and headed straight for the bedroom. Only when the door is closed can I finally relax. My back is already soaked with cold sweat. I backed up the recordings and photos on my phone again. This brings me a little peace of mind. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, all I can think about is Gao Lang's words. He has a copy of my ID and my bank card information. In other words, even if I change my card and phone number, he can still borrow money in my name. What should I do? Is there no escape for me in this life? No. There must be a way. I sat up, I turned on the computer, begin search. How can I prevent someone from using my identity to take out a loan? There are many possible answers. Change your bank card PIN, regularly check your credit report, enable SMS alerts. The most important thing is, if you find your identity has been misused, report it to the police immediately. Call the police, right? Call the police. In my past life, why didn't I think to call the police? Because I was too foolish. I always thought that if I explained it clearly to Gao Lang, the problem would be solved. As a result, I pushed myself into a dead end. In this life, I cannot make the same mistake again. I opened the browser and searched for nearby police stations. Then, I organized those evidences into a folder, saved it to a USB drive. Monday, I went to the company to process my transfer order. The HR person looked at me with a complicated expression. Qingyan, the conditions at the branch office are quite tough. Are you really sure about this? Yes, I nodded. You know, if you really don't want to go, you could always talk to the supervisor about it. No, it's fine. I know that's what Li Man wants. She wants me to leave. I'll do exactly what she wants. Only by going to the branch office can I make Gao Lang let his guard down. That's how you find better opportunities. While I was packing, Meng Yao came over. Sister Sue, are you really leaving? Yeah, why? Company arrangement. Did Gao Lang have something to do with this? Meng Yao lowered her voice. I glanced at her. Why are you asking that? I saw him arguing with Director Li in the stairwell yesterday. Meng Yao bit her lip. As if mentioning your name, it seems Meng Yao isn't that naive after all. Forget about it. I patted her on the shoulder and told her to be careful. Sister Sue, I'm leaving, carrying my suitcase. I walked out of the office. Gao Lang isn't here, probably off somewhere laughing to themselves. I walked out of the company's main entrance. The sun was just right. I looked up at the sky. Gao Lang, the game is just beginning. The branch is located in an industrial park, very remote. The office building is quite old. My desk is in a corner by the window. My colleagues are all very busy. No one notices me. This is just right. I can do my own thing in peace. Afternoon, I went to the local police station, printed out all the evidence from the USB drive, loan agreement, chat logs, transcript of the recording. It was all handed over to the police officer. I'd like to report a crime. What are you reporting? Someone used my identity to take out loans and is also suspected of fraud. The police looked over the evidence I submitted, his brow furrowed. How did you obtain this evidence? I hesitated for a moment. I found it at his house. Did you enter someone's residence without permission? That's illegal, said the police officer sternly. I know I was wrong, I said, lowering my head, but I had no choice. He was about to use my information to take out a loan. If I hadn't stopped him, my life would have been ruined. The police officer sighed. You should head home for now. We'll look into it. So, when can I expect to hear something? Hard to say. The officer looked at me. A lot of the evidence you provided needs to be verified. Furthermore, this Gao Lang fellow hasn't taken any concrete action yet, so it's difficult for us to officially open a case. What should I do? My heart sank. First, protect your personal information and don't share it easily. If he really borrowed money, report it to the police immediately. Okay, walking out of the police station, I'm feeling a bit down. But it was to be expected. With no tangible loss, it's really hard for the police to open a case, but at least I've filed a report. If Gao Lang dares to use my information for borrowing again, the police will have a record of him. Back at the dorm, the phone rang. It was an unknown number. The caller ID showed it was local. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. Hello, Su Qingyan. It's Gao Lang's voice. How did he get my new number? How did you get this number? Isn't it easy to get your number? His voice was full of satisfaction. And I hear you've been transferred to the branch office. What's it to you? How is it not my business? He laughed. Qingyan, don't be difficult. Come back. I'm not being difficult. Are you still mad at me? I don't want to argue with you. Don't hang up. Gao Lang's voice dropped low. Qingyan, I know what you're doing. What am I doing? You went to the police, didn't you? My heart skipped a beat. How does he know? You've been following me. Why would I need to follow you? Gao Lang sneered. You think the police will help you? How naive. Without evidence, they won't lift a finger. I have evidence. Evidence. Gao Lang laughed. Evidence you stole by breaking into my house. You think a court will believe that? You, Su Qingyan, I'm warning you. Don't fight me. Gao Lang's voice was laced with a threat. You can't win. Just come back quietly. We can go back to how things were before. Alright, no, I said through gritted teeth. Then don't blame me for what happens next. What are you going to do? What do you think? Gao Lang's voice was filled with madness. Aren't you afraid I'll use your information to borrow money? Well, I'm going to do it anyway. I'll ruin you. Make sure you never recover in this lifetime. Gao Lang, you madman, you pushed me to this. The call was disconnected. My hands trembled as I clutched the phone. He's really going to do it. He's going to ruin me. No, I can't just sit back and do nothing. I have to find a way. Stop him. Chapter 6, Counterattack. After hanging up the phone with Gao Lang, I felt icy cold all over. His threat hung over me like a blade. I knew he meant what he said. I need to act faster. I turned on my computer and started searching for information about Gao Lang, his education, family background, and previous work experience. I don't believe he could erase his past completely. Indeed, I found a post about him in an old forum. It was from 5 years ago. The title was, Exposing a Scammer Named Gao Lang, Who Cheated Me Out of 30,000 Yuan. Be careful. Everyone, the post detailed the process of being scammed. It's almost exactly the same situation I'm going through right now. It also started under the guise of a romantic relationship, then moved to borrowing money, before they finally vanished. The poster's username was Sunshine Just Right. I tried sending her a private message. I wonder if she'll still look. After doing all this, I thought of Li Man again. She was threatened by Gao Lang, so she must hate him too. Maybe I can find more evidence from her. I pulled up Li Man's phone number from my contacts. It was saved in Gao Lang's phone from my past life. After a moment's hesitation, I dialed it. It rang for a long time before someone finally picked up. Hello, who is this? Li Man's voice sounded exhausted. Director Li, it's me, Su Qingyan. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line. What do you want from me? I'd like to talk to you about Gao Lang. I have nothing to say to you, Director Li. I'm being sincere here. Gao Lang swindled you out of your money and even threatened you. Are you really just going to accept that? What else can I do? Li Man's voice was laced with bitterness. I've already reported it to the police, but they said there isn't enough evidence. I've also reported it to the police. I told them I have some evidence that might be able to help you. What evidence? The loan contract he took out using my stolen identity, his chat logs with other girls, and the recording of him threatening you. Li Man's breathing noticeably quickened. Do you have a recording? Where is it? I'm at the branch office in the neighboring city now. If it's convenient for you, we can meet. Li Man fell silent for a long time. Okay, how about we meet at the cafe near the branch office tomorrow at 10 a.m. Sure. After hanging up the phone, I felt a bit more at ease. At least I wasn't fighting alone anymore. The next morning, I arrived at the cafe early, chose a seat by the window, ordered 2 cups of coffee. Exactly 10 o'clock. Li Man arrived. She was dressed in a professional outfit, her hair neatly combed but the fatigue in her eyes couldn't be concealed. Sit, I said. She sat down. Not saying a word, I took out the voice recorder and placed it on the table. This is the recording from that day. Li Man picked up the voice recorder and pressed the play button. Gao Lang's frantic voice came out from within. Her face gradually turned pale. The recording ended. She put down the voice recorder. Her hands were trembling. This beast, she said through gritted teeth. Directorly, I looked at her. Gao Lang didn't just deceive us, he deceived many people. 5 years ago, someone exposed him online. I showed her that forum post. The more Li Man read, the worse her complexion became. I wondered how he was so skilled. Turns out he's a repeat offender. We must unite to ensure he faces justice. I said, how do we unite? Let's compile all the evidence we have and submit it to the police together, with both testimonies and physical evidence. The police will definitely file a case. Li Man nodded. Okay, what evidence do you have? I asked. The transfer records, Li Man said. I transferred 50,000 yuan to him. There's a bank statement, and the text messages where he threatened me. These are all very useful, I said. By the way, do you know what his big project is all about? Li Man shook her head. No idea. He's never been willing to say. I suspect there's no big project at all, I said. He just wants to scam you out of your money. Li Man sighed. Now I also feel that he was deceiving me. What about your son's tuition? I borrowed some from relatives. Li Man forced a smile. Fortunately, it's not time to pay the tuition yet. Good. We discussed some more details. We agreed to meet up in the afternoon and go to the police station together to submit all the evidence. As I was leaving the cafe, Li Man called out to me, Su Qingyan, I'm sorry about the past. She looked at me, her expression complicated. It was wrong of me to transfer you to the branch office. I was stunned for a moment, then shook my head. Let bygones be bygones. Now is not the time to dwell on this. Our only target is Gao Lang. 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we arrived at the police station on time. This time, the same officer who met us last time greeted us. He seemed a bit surprised to see us come in together. Do you two know each other? We're colleagues, and we've all been deceived by Gao Lang, Li Man said. She placed the bank statements and text message records on the table. I added screenshots of newly found forum posts and private message records with the poster. The police flipped through the evidence page by page, their brows furrowing deeper with each one. This evidence is much more complete than last time, he said. Comrade police officer, can we file a case now? I asked. We can accept it first, the police officer said, taking out a registration form. Please write down the details again. It took us an hour to finish writing down the details of the incident. As I stepped out of the police station, the sun was shining brightly. Li Man took a deep breath. I hope this time, there will be a result. There will be, I said. After seeing Li Man off, I returned to the branch office. As soon as I sat down, I received a text message. It was from the netizen named Sunshine Just Right. Hello, I saw your private message. Is the Gao Lang you mentioned about 8 meters tall with a scar on the web of his right hand? My heart skipped a beat. It was him in a past life. I had seen that scar on his wrist. Yes, I replied. He scammed you too. Yeah, he took out loans using my identity and swindled money from other people. That bastard, she said along with an angry emoji. He conned me out of 30,000, and I was even pregnant with his child when he just vanished into thin air. My breath caught in my throat. A child? Gao Lang has a child. What happened to you after that? I asked. I lost the baby, and I almost took my own life, she replied, her voice thick with despair. All these years, I've been searching for him, just to make him pay. We are currently gathering evidence to sue him. Would you be willing to testify? Yes, of course, I'm willing, she immediately replied. I'll do anything to make sure he goes to jail. That's great. I exchanged contact information with her. Her name is Zhou Tong. She lives in another city. She said she would come as soon as possible. After hanging up the phone, I looked out the window. A surge of strength welled up inside. More and more people are stepping forward. Gao Lang, your days of ease are over. Evening, I received a call from the police. Is this Su Qingyan? It's me. We investigated Gao Lang's bank transactions and found that he has received numerous unexplained deposits recently, all of which were transferred to small loan companies. Is he using other people's information to take out loans? Very likely, the police said. We've applied for a search warrant and will be searching his home tomorrow. What do you need me to do? Hold off for now and don't do anything to tip them off. Wait for our signal. Got it. After hanging up, I was so excited I nearly jumped out of my skin. Finally, we're getting somewhere. I slept soundly through the night. No nightmares. Early the next morning, I stayed right by my phone waiting for news from the police. 10 o'clock in the morning, the phone rang. It was the police. Su Qingyan, we found a large number of ID card copies, bank card information, and many forged contracts at Gao Lang's residence. Excellent. We have Gao Lang in custody, the officer said. You, Li Man, and the woman named Zhou Tong need to come down to the station as soon as possible to give your statements. Understood. We'll be right there. I immediately called Li Man and Zhou Tong. They were both very excited, especially Zhou Tong. She said she was already on her way. Afternoon. I returned to the original city. I headed straight to the police station. Li Man and Zhou Tong have already arrived. Zhou Tong looked haggard, but her eyes brimmed with anticipation. The three of us sat in the lounge. No one spoke, yet each could sense the other's emotions: nervous, excited, and a faint, almost imperceptible sense of relief. When it was my turn to give my statement, the police asked me a lot of questions about how Gao Lang stole my information, about how I found out about the origin of that evidence. I answered every question truthfully, including the part about me entering his apartment without permission. The officer didn't reprimand me any further. He just let out a sigh. Next time something like this happens, call the police first. Don't act on impulse. I understand. After finishing the statement, it was already night. The police said that Gao Lang confessed to his crimes without reservation. Not only did he steal my personal information, but he also stole that of many other girls. The amount involved is as high as hundreds of thousands. He will face legal sanctions. Walking out of the police station, night had fallen deep. The streetlights flickered on. They stretched our shadows long. It's finally over, Li Man said. Yes, Zhou Tong's voice choked with emotion. I've been waiting for this day for 5 years. I looked at them. My heart was filled with a mix of emotions. The tragedy of my past life finally did not repeat itself. My parents are safe and sound. My reputation remains intact. The girls Gao Lang deceived can finally get justice. Let's go get something to eat, I said, to celebrate. Okay, we found a barbecue place. We ordered a lot of dishes, and there was beer too. No one mentioned Gao Lang, just chatting about trivial things. Zhou Tong said she plans to move to a new city to start a new life. Li Man said she will focus more on her work and her son. I said I want to quit my job and go traveling, take a good look at this world. After 3 rounds of drinks, Zhou Tong suddenly burst into tears. I'm sorry, she said. If I had stepped forward earlier back then, maybe so many people wouldn't have been deceived. It's not your fault. Li Man patted her back. It's just that Gao Lang is too cunning. Exactly, I said. It's not too late for us to step forward now. At least, we stopped him from harming others further. That's enough. As we left the barbecue place, Zhou Tong asked for my contact information. Let's keep in touch, she said. Okay. Li Man added, if you're not comfortable back at the branch office, just come back. I'll find you a different position here. Thank you, Director Li. Please, call me Sister Man. Sister Man. We said our goodbyes at the crossroads. Each of us went our separate ways. I watched their silhouettes fade into the night. Suddenly, I felt a warm sensation in my heart. My phone vibrated in my pocket. It was my mom calling. Qing Yan, when are you coming back? Your dad made your favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. I'll be right back. Take care on the road. Hum. Hung up the phone. I looked up at the sky. The stars tonight are so bright, like diamonds scattered on black velvet. It's wonderful. Everything is over. Gao Lang got his just desserts. We can all start new lives now. I touched the phone in my pocket. There's still a photo left. It was found that day in Gao Lang's apartment. A photo of him with a strange man. That man looks somewhat familiar to me. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before, but I just can't place it right now. Perhaps, it's probably just a trivial little episode. I smiled. I turned and headed for home. My steps were light. It was like a great weight had been lifted. The road ahead is still long, but I know this: I will never live in such a wretched state again, as I did in my past life. I will live well. Cherish everything you have right now, because I paid for this with my life. Chapter 7. The aftermath. The aroma of sweet and sour pork ribs filled the entire house as I walked in. My dad peeked out from the kitchen, wearing an apron. Back already? My mom came over and took the bag from my hand. Tired, aren't you? Sit down and rest. Not tired. I sat on the sofa, watching their busy figures, feeling warm inside. That's wonderful. Everything is back on track. During dinner, I told them about Gao Lang being arrested. I didn't go into too many details. I just said he was arrested by the police for fraud. My parents were stunned. How could he do something like this? My mom frowned. You can't judge a person's heart by their appearance. My dad sighed. Thank goodness you're okay. My mom patted my hand. From now on, you need to be more careful when making friends. I understand, Mom. After dinner, I helped clear the table. My phone rang. It was Meng Yao. Sister Sue, did you hear? Gao Lang got arrested by the police. Her voice was full of surprise. I know. Oh my god, that's terrifying, Meng Yao said. How could he be like that? Luckily, you told me to stay away from him, or I would have been fooled too. It's good that you're okay, Sister Sue. When are you coming back? Everyone misses you. I'm not sure yet. Oh, make sure to let me know when you're back. Okay, After hanging up the phone, I looked out the window. News of Gao Long's arrest has undoubtedly spread throughout the company. It's hard to say what kind of fallout this will cause. Just as I thought, the very next day, I received a call from the company's HR department. Su Qingyan, are you available to come to the office for a moment? What's up? We'd like to discuss your transfer with you. Okay, I know they want me to come back. After all, in the case of Gao Lang, I was the victim and the whistleblower. Back to the company. The atmosphere in the office building was a bit subtle. My colleagues were looking at me with curiosity and scrutiny. I ignored it. I walked straight to the HR office. The HR director was a kindly, middle-aged woman. She saw me and smiled. Qing Yan, have a seat. Thank you. We've all heard about what happened with Gao Lang, she said. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It's all right. Regarding your transfer order, the company has reviewed the decision and is rescinding it, she said. You can return to your previous position and duties. If you don't want to return to your original department, you can also transfer to another one. I thought about it. My original department is filled with memories related to Gao Lang. Going back would inevitably feel uncomfortable. I'd like to transfer to the marketing department. Approved. The HR director nodded. Director Zhang from marketing is very pleased with your work. Thank you. You're welcome. Stepped out of the HR office. I went to my old department to pack up my things. Meng Yao's eyes lit up when she saw me. Sister Sue, you're back. Great. She helped me organize the documents. I knew you'd come back. From now on, I'll be in the marketing department. Meng Yao paused. Why? I want to change the environment. Oh. She felt a bit disappointed but quickly smiled again. It's okay, we can still see each other often. I packed up my things and went to the marketing department. Director Zhang is a very capable and efficient woman. She introduced me to my new colleagues. Everyone was very welcoming. She didn't press me for details about Gao Lang. That's good. I just want to work in peace and quiet, start a new life. Afternoon. Li Man came to see me. Done with your work. Want to grab a coffee together? Okay. We went to the cafe downstairs from the office. Gao Lang's case has been transferred to the procuratorate, Li Man said. His lawyer contacted me, asking me to provide a letter of understanding in exchange for compensation. Did you agree? No, Li Man shook her head. I don't want his money. I just want him to face the consequences he deserves. Me too. What about Zhou Tong? Did she agree? I don't know, I said. I haven't contacted her yet. She's had a tough time these years, Li Man sighed. Maybe she needs this money. I fell silent. Yes, everyone's situation is different. Choices can vary. 2. We have no right to judge others. Oh, right. Li Man looked at me. Didn't you say you saw a photo of him with a strange man in Gao Lang's apartment the other day? Yeah. Did you remember who it was? No. I shook my head. Maybe just a friend of his. Let's hope so. Li Man's expression was complicated. Still, better be careful. The kind of people Gao Lang associates with probably aren't the best sort. I know. After finishing my coffee, I headed back to the office. I had just sat down when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. The area code showed it was from out of town. I hesitated for a moment before answering. Hello, excuse me, is this Ms. Su Qingyan? A deep male voice. Yes, it is. Who's calling? I am Gao Lang's lawyer. My heart sank. Is there something I can help you with, Ms. Su? I'd like to discuss Gao Lang's case with you. I have nothing to say to you, Ms. Su. Gao Lang has come to recognize his mistake, the lawyer said calmly. He wishes to offer you compensation and hopes you will provide a letter of forgiveness. Compensation? I laughed. What he owes me can't be repaid with money, Ms. Su. To err is human. Wouldn't it be good to give him a chance to turn over a new leaf? Repent? I thought of all the past lives. Why should he be given a chance to repent after harming so many people? Ms. Su, if you don't issue a letter of forgiveness, Gao Lang is likely to be sentenced to a heavy punishment. That's what he deserves. Are you really that heartless? The heartless one is him, not me. I hung up the phone. I blocked the number, yet, deep down, I felt an inexplicable unease. Why would Gao Lang's lawyer suddenly contact me? Could it be? What other moves does he have up his sleeve? I touched the phone in my pocket. That photo is still in there. The stranger's face is becoming clearer and clearer in my mind. I think I've definitely seen him somewhere before. Chapter 8. Familiar face. For the next few days, I kept thinking about that strange man, but I just couldn't recall where I had seen him before. Work was very busy. The pace in the marketing department is much faster than in my old one. There are endless meetings and proposals to work on every single day, but that's not a bad thing. It leaves me no time to dwell on those troubles. Friday evening, the company organized a team building event. We went to a resort out in the suburbs. Everyone had a great time. I gradually became part of the new group. In the evening, everyone gathered around for a barbecue. Director Zhang came over with a bottle of beer. Qing Yan, come, have a drink. Thank you, Director Zhang. Don't call me Director Zhang, call me Sister Zhang. She patted my shoulder. You've been working hard these days. It's not hard. I've heard about Gao Lang. Sister Zhang looked at me. Don't take it to heart. That kind of person isn't worth it. No, it's not easy to get through such a tough situation. In the future, if you face any difficulties, don't hesitate to talk to me. Thank you, Sister Zhang. You're welcome. We clinked our glasses. The beer was a bit bitter, but inside, I felt a warm glow. We were halfway through the barbecue. Someone suggested going to sing karaoke. The resort has a KTV room. Everyone rushed in. I don't like too noisy environments. Sitting alone on the outdoor terrace, gazing at the stars in the sky, my phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a WeChat message from Zhou Tong. Qingyan, I'm home. Okay, get some rest. Has Gao Lang's lawyer contacted you? Yes, they have. Did you agree to write a letter of understanding? No, me neither. Zhou Tong sent an angry emoji. He thinks he can buy me off with money. Not a chance. Yeah. Oh, I just remembered something. Zhou Tong said. Back then, Gao Lang scammed me out of my money, claiming he was going into business with a friend. Friend, my heart skipped a beat. What kind of friend? I met him once, Zhou Tong said. He was tall, skinny, and looked very shrewd. Tall, skinny, and shrewd. He looks a bit like the man in the photo. Do you remember what he looked like? I can't quite recall, Zhou Tong said. It's been 5 years. Did he ever mention what that friend's name was? It seems, something Hui. I'm searching for this name in my mind. Suddenly a figure leaped out. It was our company's vice president. Lin Hui. He was tall, thin, and looked very sharp, and I once saw him meet with Gao Lang downstairs at the company. At the time, I thought they were just ordinary colleagues. Now, looking back, their relationship might not be as simple as it seems. The man in the photo saved on Gao Lang's phone, with his facial features, almost perfectly matches Lin Hui. A sharp pang of heartache struck. Could it be? Is Lin Hui the one behind Gao Lang? That thought sent a chill down my spine. Lin Hui holds a very high position in the company. He keeps a low profile, so few people know his true background. If he has a connection with Gao Lang, did he also participate in what Gao Lang did? Qingyan, what's wrong? Zhou Tong sent a message. It's nothing, I replied. I just suddenly remembered that I might have seen that person named Hui. Really? Well, not sure yet. If it's true, they're in on it together. Zhou Tong sent a shocked emoji. That's terrifying. I'll get to the bottom of this. Be careful. Zhou Tong said. That kind of person is definitely not someone to mess with. I know. I hung up WeChat and gazed at the distant lights. My mind was in a complete turmoil. If Lin Hui really has a connection with Gao Lang, what could his purpose be then? Is it just for money, or is there a bigger conspiracy? I dare not think about it, but I know this matter cannot be left unresolved. The next day, after the team building event, we returned to the office. I went to the HR department using the pretext of needing to understand the management's background. I wanted to look at Lin Hui's file. The HR person seemed hesitant. Vice President Lin's file is confidential. I just wanted to understand his work history to write a market analysis report. I offered as an excuse. After a moment's thought, HR showed it to me anyway. The information is straightforward. Lin Hui, 35 years old, graduated from a prestigious university, joined the company 5 years ago. He rose through the ranks to become Vice President. His resume is impeccable. Nothing seems amiss, but that's precisely what makes me suspicious. Why would someone with a background as spotless as perfect get involved with a con artist like Gao Lang? Afternoon, I went to the pantry to get some water. I happened to run into Lin Hui. He was dressed in a suit, holding documents in his hand. He nodded slightly upon seeing me. Su Qingyan, Vice President Lin. I hear you've been doing well in the marketing department lately, he said, his voice gentle. Thank you for the compliment, Vice President Lin. Keep up the good work. He smiled and turned to leave. I watched him walk away. The doubts in my mind are growing larger. His smile seems very kind, but I sensed a subtle chill in it. Back to my workstation, I turned on my computer. I started searching for Lin Hui's name, hoping to find some clues linking him to Gao Lang. But the search results were all about his involvement in various business activities. No useful information, it seems. He is deeply hidden. Evening, I went to the apartment where Gao Lang lived before he was arrested. The door was still ajar. The police had already searched the place. The place was in complete disarray. I stepped inside. I searched carefully, hoping to find some trace Lin Hui had left behind. In the nightstand drawer, I found a notebook. It belongs to Gao Lang. It contains some messy accounts. There are also some names and phone numbers. One of the names there, in bold, was Lin Hui. It was followed by a phone number. It was identical to Lin Hui's personal number listed in the company directory. My hands began to tremble. Evidence. This is the evidence. So they did know each other, and what's more, they're deeply connected. On the last page of the notebook, there's a simple flowchart drawn. It says fund flow. The starting point is loan. It passes through several vague names. The end point is a company's name, Xingshur Investment. I was stunned. Xingshur Investment. I know this company. They are our biggest competitor recently, they've been competing with us for a major project. And the one in charge of that project is Lin Hui. Could it be Lin Hui used Gao Lang to steal others' information for borrowing and raising funds? Is it to compete with our company? This idea sends chills down my spine. If that's really the case, Lin Hui's schemes are way too deep. He not only exploited Gao Lang but also so many innocent girls, including me. I carefully put away my notebook. I put it in my bag. I walked out of the apartment. The night grew darker. I looked toward the company building. Its lights blazed brightly. It loomed like a colossal beast, harboring countless secrets. Lin Hui, what exactly do you want to do? Chapter 9, Undercurrents. Holding that notebook, I didn't sleep all night. I kept going over the contents again and again. The flowchart of funds was drawn rather hastily, but the 4 characters Xingshi Investment stood out remarkably clear. What exactly is the relationship between Lin Hui and Xingshi Investment? Is he using the money raised by Gao Lang to funnel it to Xingshi Investment, or perhaps is he himself a mole planted in our company by Xingshi Investment? The more I think about it, the more terrifying it seems. Early the next morning, I made a copy of my notebook. I hid the original. I planned to give the copy to Sister Zhang. She is the director of the marketing department, quite familiar with the company's situation. Moreover, she seems like someone you can trust. Morning, I knocked on Sister Zhang's office door. Sister Zhang, there's something I need to talk to you about. Have a seat. Sister Zhang set down the file in her hands. What is it? I placed the photocopy in front of her. I found this at Gao Lang Apartments. Sister Zhang picked up the photocopy and examined it carefully, her brow furrowed. Little by little, Lin Hui, Xingshi Investment. Her voice was tinged with surprise. I nodded. I suspect Lin Hui is using Gao Lang to steal personal information for loans, raising funds to funnel benefits to Xingshi Investment and undermine our company. Sister Zhang fell silent for a long time. The office was completely still. Only the hum of the air conditioner filled the silence. Do you have evidence? She asked. This notebook is the evidence, I said. It has Lin Hui's phone number and a flowchart of the funds. That's not enough. Sister Zhang shook her head. Lin Hui holds a high position in the company. Without solid evidence, it's hard to bring him down. Moreover, if this escalates, it could damage the company's reputation, so we just stand by and watch him harm the company's interests. That's not what I meant, Sister Zhang said, looking at me. This matter is of great importance. We need to be more cautious. What should we do then? Don't make a fuss about it, Sister Zhang said. I'll investigate discreetly. There's a large project that Lin Hui is in charge of, and recently, a sum of money has gone missing. I suspect it's connected to this. Okay, I'll hold on to this copy for now. Okay, I walked out of Ms. Zhang's office. I felt a little more at ease. At least I'm not fighting alone anymore. The next few days, the company seems calm on the surface, but I could sense it. An undercurrent was quietly stirring. Sister Zhang became very busy. She was often out of the office. It's said that he's following up on that major project. Lin Hui has also become unusually low-key. He rarely shows up at the company, occasionally runs into him. The way he looked at me held a hint of scrutiny. It made me very uncomfortable. I know, he might have already sensed something. I must be more careful. Friday afternoon, Meng Yao suddenly found me. Her face was very pale. Sister Su, I think I've gotten myself into trouble. What happened? I just went to the pantry and overheard Vice President Lin talking on the phone with someone. Meng Yao lowered her voice. He said, that money must be transferred quickly, or it'll be too late. And he also mentioned Xingshi Investment. My heart skipped a beat here. What else did he say? He also said, it's taken care of on Gao Lang's side. Nothing will go wrong. It's taken care of on Gao Lang's side. What does it mean? Could it be? What is he trying to pull on Gao Lang? Meng Yao, don't tell anyone about this, I said. Not even your family or friends. I know. Meng Yao nodded. Her eyes filled with fear. Sister Su, I'm so scared. Don't be afraid. I patted her shoulder. I'm here. Meng Yao was calmed down. I immediately went to find Sister Zhang. The door to her office was closed. I knocked on the door. There was no response. I took out my phone and called her. No one answered. Suddenly, a bad feeling arose in my heart. Could something have happened to her? I rushed out of the marketing department, searching everywhere for Sister Zhang. Finally, found her in the stairwell. She was curled up in the corner. His face was pale. There was a wound on his forehead. It was bleeding. Sister Zhang. I rushed over and helped her up. What happened? I was attacked. Sister Zhang's voice was weak. Someone stole my documents. Who? I don't know. Sister Zhang shook her head. It was 2 masked men. They took the evidence I had gathered on Lin Hui. My heart sank. Lin Hui, it must be him. He's backed into a corner and desperate. Quick, let me get you to the hospital. No need. Sister Zhang held me back. I'm fine. What matters is, the evidence is gone. I still have the original copy, I said. A glint flashed in Sister Zhang's eyes. Right, let's go to the police right now. No, Sister Zhang shook her head. Without evidence, Going to the police is useless, besides, it would tip them off. Then what do we do? Lin Hui is after that major project, Sister Zhang said. He stole my files to stop me from investigating his fund trail. We have to find new evidence before he succeeds. How do we find it? The partner for that major project is a foreign company, Sister Zhang said. Their legal department is very strict. If Lin Hui uses illicit funds to cooperate with them, they definitely won't stand for it. So you're saying, we can anonymously report Lin Hui's situation to their legal department, Sister Zhang said. Let them investigate. Will that work? We can only try. Chapter 10, The Endgame. Zhang Jia and I found a secluded spot. We scanned the original notebook into an electronic version. We also organized some of the clues we had gathered about Lin Hui's financial flow together. It was anonymously sent to the legal department of that foreign company. Having done all this, we all breathed a sigh of relief. The rest is up to fate. Monday morning, the office was in an uproar. That foreign company suddenly announced the termination of their partnership with our company. The reason is that there are suspicions about the source of our company's funds. The news broke, the stock price plummeted. The chairman was furious. An investigation team was immediately formed. The focus of the investigation was the major project overseen by Lin Hui. Lin Hui was suspended from his position under investigation. The office was abuzz with chatter. Everyone was speculating about what had happened. I looked out the window. The sunlight was blinding, yet my heart was perfectly calm. It's finally here. What was meant to come? The afternoon, the police have arrived, took Lin Hui away. It is said that the legal department of that foreign company reported the case. During their investigation, they found that the funds Lin Hui used for cooperation indeed came from illegal loans. Moreover, Prosperous Age Investment was also implicated. So that's how it is. Lin Hui wasn't just a mole that Prosperous Age Investment planted in our company. He's also one of the actual controlling parties behind Prosperous Age Investment. He exploited Gao Lang to fraudulently obtain loans using others' identities, thereby raising funds. On one hand, it was to undermine our company. On the other hand, it was to plug the financial hole at Xingshi Investment. Truly, it was a case of killing two birds with one stone. As a result, there have been new developments in Gao Lang's case. He confessed, back then, it was Lin Hui who instigated him to take out loans using other people's information. He was merely a pawn in Lin Hui's hands. Waiting for them will be severe legal punishment. The matter has finally been settled. The company's reputation, though affected, but cut losses in time. Under the leadership of the new team, gradually, it regained its vitality. Sister Zhang, because she made a contribution in this matter, I was promoted to vice president of the company. She asked to speak with me. Qing Yan, thank you. I just did what I had to do. You are very brave. Sister Zhang looked at me, and very smart. Are you interested in working on a project with me? I know you've been through a lot, Sister Zhang said, but I believe you have the ability to do even better. I thought about it. In my past life, I was weak and timid. I was deceived and exploited. This lifetime I have experienced life and death. I've seen through people's hearts. I've also learned to face it bravely. Perhaps I really can try to do something different. Okay. I gave a nod. A faint smile touched the corner of my mouth. Sunlight streams through the window, falling on my face, warm and bright. I know the shadows of the past have completely dissipated. The road ahead is still long, but I am no longer afraid because I know I am no longer that Su Qingyan from my past life, to be manipulated at will. I am Su Qingyan, a brand new Su Qingyan, living for herself. The end. Story 2. Whenever the business elite in Ming City gather for a meal, they inevitably mention Su Yi, the youngest daughter of the Su family. She is both strikingly beautiful and ruthless, and as a fallen heiress, she is no stranger to scandals. She is immensely popular in Ming City, with suitors lining up one after another. The public views her as a quintessential refined egoist, accusing her of playing with emotions and reaping benefits through her beauty. Sui paid no mind to the gossip swirling around her. Her only concerns were the number of contracts her company secured and the quarterly profit figures. She had just wrapped up 2 major projects and was looking forward to a breather when a business partner called. They mentioned a deep-pocketed client was scouting for a logistics partner and asked if she'd join a dinner meeting. A notorious workaholic, Sui hung up and rushed to the restaurant. The moment she stepped into the private room, before she could even offer a greeting, she sensed a sudden, heavy silence fall over the gathering. For a second, she thought she'd walked into the wrong room. Then, her eyes landed on the person seated at the head of the table, and she instantly understood the reason for the abrupt hush. After 5 or 6 years apart, she never expected to run into Song Chuching again. All eyes at the table turned to her. The social circle was small, and most people present knew a thing or two about her past with Song Chuching. Their expressions were a sight to behold. Her colleague, however, wasn't from Ning City and was completely in the dark, oblivious to the awkward tension. They piped up to introduce Sui. Mr. Song, this is. Suyi's gaze met Song Chuching's. In that instant, his eyes grew as dark and fathomless as a midnight pool. It had been years since they last met. And Song Chuching remained as inscrutable as ever, his true feelings impossible to read yet. His right fingertips were absently rubbing against his cufflink, a seemingly ordinary gesture, but Sui knew him inside out. She recognized it as the unconscious tell he had when he was displeased or hesitant. She smiled immediately, a polite and cordial smile that didn't show her teeth. It was a practiced smile. One so genuinely warm and amiable that even an Emirates flight attendant greeting a business-class gold card passenger might not muster its equal. She let out a soft humph and said, I heard a major client had arrived in Ning City. I wondered who it was. It's Mr. Song, an old acquaintance. As she said this, she had already seated herself, not too close but not too far from Song Chuchin. For some reason, she noticed out of the corner of her eye that he had slightly frowned. Everyone present was sharp as a tack. As soon as Sui finished speaking, someone stepped in to smooth things over, showering Song Chuchin with flattery. In recent years, his business has grown bigger and bigger, and everyone wants to get on his good side, so no one dared to cross Song Chuching, terrified of steering the conversation towards Sui. After all, everyone knew that years ago, Miss Su and President Song were once deeply in love, an inseparable and perfectly matched pair. They also say that Song Chuching used to dote on Sui endlessly. If she told him to go east, he wouldn't dare go west. If she pointed at the moon, he'd rush off to buy a star. How they later ended up in a complete estrangement spawned many rumors in the outside world, fueled by Suyi's playgirl antics. The most widely accepted version is that Sui was used to dumping people, and after the novelty wore off, she found it boring and kicked Song off. It didn't end well, leading Song to turn love into hatred, even going so far as to suppress the Su family. Later, he left the country, vowing never to return to Ning City. The place of his heartbreak. Sui took a couple of sips of tea and suddenly felt a sense of irony. She abruptly stood up and picked up the wine jug on the table. Her stomach was empty, yet she smiled at Song Chuching and said, Mr. Song, you've come a long way. Let me have a drink with you. Before Song Chuching could even respond with a yes or no, she downed the glass. The fiery liquid burned its way down, washing away all the old memories in her mind. She took another drink, as casually as if it were water. I hear you've been looking for partners lately, Mr. Song. If the opportunity arises, perhaps we could meet to discuss it. Song Chuching, a man of few words, fixed her with a heavy gaze and reminded her, you used to be out cold after just one drink. Sui, accustomed to being on the receiving end, was now putting on an act of extreme caution, her smile so obsequious it made Song Chuching uncomfortable. She spoke with hidden meaning, her tone playful. You said it was in the past. Times have changed. When you're young and trying to please a guy, of course, you'd pretend to be a lightweight. A bystander chimed in. Miss Su can drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk. Sui cheerfully agreed, while Song Chuching, as usual, remained taciturn and silent, tipping his head back to finish his drink. By the end of the drinking party, most of the table was drunk, but Sui remained remarkably composed. The smile on her face never faltered for a second, fixed in place as firmly as waterproof makeup, making it impossible to recognize the imperious young lady she once was. The night wind was strong. In the late spring, early summer air, the city of Ning showed signs of a warming trend. Walking behind Sui, Song Chuching suddenly spoke up, let me see you home. Sui halted her steps and turned to face him in the night breeze. Then, almost imperceptibly, she took another step back, subtly increasing the distance between herself and Song Chuching. That wouldn't be appropriate, Mr. Song, a man and a woman alone in the dead of night. If word got out, it might upset Mrs. Song. Song Chuching's brow furrowed as he retorted, there is no Mrs. Song, yet. Sui showed no sign of surprise, as if she had merely heard some trivial piece of news. She suddenly let out a light laugh. You probably haven't been back to Ning City for years. You might not know that seeing me home implies spending the night together. It would be even better if we could discuss some business in the wee hours. Is President Song also offering to share my bed? Song Chuching's expression immediately darkened. Sui, is this how you're going to act out now? The designated driver Sui called had arrived, but she wasn't in a hurry to get in the car. The smile on her face hadn't faded, and her tone was extremely humble. This isn't acting out, it's just a mutual agreement. If Mr. Song disapproves of such behavior, just treat me as a joke. After saying that, she opened the door to get in the car, but Song Chuching instantly reached out and grabbed her wrist. This action was instinctive. In the past, whenever he had an argument with Sui and tried to stop her from leaving. He would do it this way when his distinctively knuckled fingers touched the skin on Suyi's wrist. Both of them paused for a moment, but Song Chuching didn't let go. So, Mr. Song, you really want to spend the night with me? I wouldn't mind that at all, Song Chuching said coldly. Let's talk. Sui looked at him and asked softly, what are we talking about? Are you planning to hand over that collaboration to me, Mr. Song? It doesn't matter if we discuss this tonight or tomorrow, it's not about that. Sui gently pulled her hand away and said softly, what else is there to talk about between us? Are you trying to control me now? She smiled and said, if it's about the collaboration, we can discuss it during work hours when we have time. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. With that, she got into the car and no longer looked at the expression on Song Chuching's face. The car drove further and further away, and Song Chuching's figure gradually disappeared from the rearview mirror. The alcohol in Suyi's stomach was only now starting to churn, making the healed scar on her hand ache faintly. Suyi sometimes felt that time and the truthfulness of rumors were inversely related. As time passed, the old story became more and more distorted in the retelling, painting her as a heartless and faithless villain. In the end, only the person involved was left, occasionally remembering the past. Drinking glass after glass late into the night, honing the ironclad tolerance she has today, Sui met Song Chuching the year she was still a student. One day, her family suddenly informed her they had found her a fiancé. In her youth, Sui was playful and carefree. When she was younger, her dream was to go to Antarctica and save the penguins. Upon hearing this news, she immediately jumped up. What era is this for arranged marriages? I don't care if he's round or flat, I'm running away from home. Her father was endlessly worried about his flighty daughter. Chuching has a very good temperament, he's a good match for you. Just as Sui was about to blow up, her father calmly added, and he's had a tough life. His mother passed away early, and the Song family is so complicated, you could help him out. Actually, Suyi's dad had his eye on Song Chuching for his young age and steady demeanor, and also because he was still young and easy to manage, so he wouldn't bully his daughter. He just changed his approach to appeal to Suyi's sense of helping others. Sui was always soft-hearted and passionate, and in an instant, she imagined a tragic story of a young master. Finally, she said, fine, I'll reluctantly meet him. That was the beginning of their story. Song Chuching had a handsome appearance that greatly pleased Miss Su. Miss Su had never been in love before. She raised her chin and said to Song Chuching in a proud, coquettish manner, you'd better think carefully. I'm not easy to please. Song Chuching, however, just smiled and gently touched the top of her head, as if stroking a Maine Coon cat. It's not that bad, this is just fine. And so, they began dating. Sui was admittedly a handful, but that was mostly because she was a few years younger than Song Chuching and had been spoiled by her family. She often had these wild, whimsical ideas. Song Chuching indulged her every whim. If she so much as whined about wanting to climb a snow-capped mountain, he would clear his schedule and go with her. Hand in hand and breathless, they finally reached the summit. In the howling wind and swirling snow, Sui pushed Song Chuching down. Her eyes were sparkling bright, her nose tip red from the cold, and as if possessed, she kissed him. Song Chuching was stunned for a moment. Then, he cupped her wind-chilled face in his hands and traced the contours of her lips with his own. They've jumped together from 10,000 meters in the sky and dived together too. The coral reefs of the Red Sea, sharing a knowing smile. Sui has an inexhaustible well of energy. When she likes someone, she does so openly and without reservation, never holding back in expressing her affection. Her biggest stunt was on Valentine's Day, when she made headlines by sending a truckload of red roses to Song Chuching's office. It was a masterful role reversal that left him both amused and exasperated. She also took great delight in bringing Song Chuching to meet all her various friends, proudly declaring, he's mine. Song Chuching had once asked her, am I really that great? Sui planted a loud kiss on his cheek, a stamp of approval. How could the person I like be anything less than wonderful? If not for seeing Song Chuching again, Sui might have nearly forgotten all those past memories. Suddenly remembering the fireworks they'd watched together, the auroras they'd admired, their kiss on the snowy mountain, she realized not every couple gets to experience a romance quite that magical. Yet in retrospect, she realized that Song Chuching wasn't flawless back then. In her girlish mindset, she once asked Song Chuching, you're so good-tempered and know how to make me happy, you must have been quite popular with other girls before, right? Song Chuching fell unusually silent, and Sui immediately pounced on him. Oh, so you did have a past relationship. What kind of person was she? Song Chuching sighed. My dear, are you digging into my past to settle old scores? Sui pressed on relentlessly. Tell me, what kind of person was she? Song Chuching hesitated for a moment before replying, someone very different from you. Sui kept her cheerful grin, though her jealousy was all an act. So, did you ever sweet-talk her the way you sweet-talk me? No, said Song Chuching, adding, my dear lady, look at my old life. It was all studying and work, nothing like now, running all over the world with you. Sui laughed and, like a raccoon, climbed onto Song Chuching, asking him, so tell me, do you like me or her? Before Song Chuching could even speak, Miss Su made her own conclusion. Humph, no need to guess, with me being this amazing, you must like me the most. Song Chuching held her and gave a soft hum. If Sui hadn't been swept off her feet back then, or if she had been as thoughtful as she is today, she might have realized that, despite holding hands, hugging, and doing all the things couples do with Song Chuching, but during the years they were together, Song Chuching never once mentioned the word love to her. 2 days later, someone from Song Chuching's company actually contacted Su Corporation, and after some coordination, they finalized the partnership. The head of the business department told Sui, this partner is really easy to work with, hardly ever nitpicks, almost like a godsend. A few months later, the two companies collaborated several more times, until late summer when a large order came in, and Song Chuching came to Ning City on a business trip with his team. He arrived late, and after the meeting, he went to Suyi's office. Before they could start talking, Suyi's phone rang. She walked to the window to answer the phone. Nowadays, she speaks to anyone with a warm and soothing tone, as if comforting the other person. I've been quite busy lately, but once I have some free time, I'll definitely arrange a meeting with you. Okay, Song Chuching watched her retreating figure. Even after Sui hung up the phone, his gaze remained fixed on her. When their eyes finally met, he waited for her to speak first. Sui, however, offered no explanation. She felt no obligation to justify herself to Song Chuching. With a light laugh, she said, my apologies, a private matter delayed our conversation. Let me pour you some tea first. But a minor mishap occurred as she handed him the cup. The handle of the bone china teacup was delicate. As Song Chuching reached out to take it, his fingers inadvertently brushed against the back of Suyi's hand. She flinched and accidentally spilled some tea. Sui reacted quickly, immediately setting down the cup and reaching for a tissue on the table. I'm sorry, are you okay? Did you get burned? Of course, it wasn't enough to burn, those few drops would dry up in minutes, but Suyi's overreaction made Song Chuching's expression turn grim. He stopped Suyi's hand as she tried to wipe away the spill and asked her, do we really have to be this distant? Is that it? Back in the day, Su, he wouldn't have just served him tea and water to apologize. If he brought food to her, she'd probably accuse him of something, saying, oh, I can't eat anything now, I need you to say something nice to make me feel like eating. Sui pulled her hand away, her words contradicting her actions. How could I dare? You're our company's biggest investor, how could we ever be distant? Song Chuching's eye twitched. He then saw Sui walk to the door, close the slightly ajar gap tightly, and turn back to find Song Chuching watching her. This time, she explained, it's a habit, I'm afraid of being eavesdropped on. Song Chuching had no idea that her habit was formed because of him. It was a lesson Sui had learned, painfully, from him. She would always remember that afternoon, when she went to find Song Chuching at his company as the sun was setting. The office door was slightly ajar. Song Chuching was standing inside talking to someone. Sui had intended to leave, but then she heard him say, I don't have feelings for her. Sui froze in her tracks. Even with her less than sharp intuition, she understood that the conversation inside was about her. Just then, a woman's voice came from inside the house. Ah Cheng, you promised, you only love me. Sui had never heard Song Chuching answer so decisively. Of course, I only love you. You really don't like Sui, do you? The woman wanted a definite answer. Of course not. You know, I don't like that type of girl. Wasn't the whole point of choosing Sui because she's nothing like you. I was afraid of seeing your shadow in someone else, afraid of transferring my feelings for you. Well, I'm back now. Cheng, we can be together. Break up with her. Sui listened from outside the door, her hands and feet turning cold. She heard Song Chuching remain silent for a long time before finally saying, okay. In just those few minutes, Sui was jolted out of her love-struck fantasy. Only then did she realize that Song Chuching wasn't incapable of love, he just wasn't capable of loving her. She left quietly, losing her courage for the first time, afraid to push the door open and confront Song Chuching. As if she had never been there that day. If given a second chance, she would rather have never overheard that conversation, and would rather have never learned the lesson of the tightly closed office door. The woman was called Ji Yun. It was only later that Sui realized the name Ji Yun almost represented the entirety of Song Chuching's youth. Just as Su's father had said, the Song family was a complex and treacherous world. Song Chuching's youth was fraught with hardship. Through all those years of silent endurance and obscurity, the one who stood by his side was always Ji-yun. However, Ji-yun later moved abroad with her family. At that time, Song Chuching was still an unknown, powerless to make her stay, yet, they made a promise to each other, vowing that once he achieved success and fame, they would walk side by side. It was only then that Sui understood the true meaning behind Song Chuching's words. You two are very different people, and it suddenly dawned on her just how deeply Song Chuching loved Ji-yun, so much so that he feared, in seeking a marriage partner for alliance, he might fall for someone who resembled her. She descended the stairs in a daze, only to collapse in the parking lot, scaring the security guard so badly that he frantically called an ambulance to take her to the hospital. When she woke up, the doctor told her, "Do you know you're pregnant? The fetus is not very stable." Sui closed her eyes heavily, unwilling to face the white ceiling in the room filled with the smell of disinfectant, and said, "I know." After a long while, tears seeped from the corner of her eye, wetting the pillow, and she said, "Please schedule a surgery for me. I won't be keeping the baby." The surgery wasn't particularly painful. Before the procedure, she had a call with Song Chuching and asked him what he was doing. Song Chuching seemed very busy. Ever since Ji-yun returned to the country, he hadn't contacted Sui for several days, almost as if he was avoiding her. Getting ready for a meeting, he said. Sui paused for a moment, then spoke as she usually would, "Haven't you missed me?" There was silence on Song Chuching's end for a few seconds. He first called her name, his tone carrying an unprecedented hesitation and gravity. "Sui, what's up?" He paused for another few seconds before saying, "Once things settle down, there's something I need to talk to you about." Sui agreed, hung up the phone, and then entered the operating room. The intravenous anesthetic flowed into her bloodstream, sending her into a deep, heavy sleep. No matter how strong the anesthetic, one will eventually wake up. Just as absurd false love will one day face the truth, the innocence nurtured in a life of indulgence will inevitably be brutally shattered. After the surgery, Sui had no time to dwell on her physical pain, nor did she have the chance to grieve over Song Chuching. Again, she got out of bed before finishing her four and heard that a project in her company was facing a cash flow issue, causing panic throughout the company. About half a month later, Song Chuching asked her to meet. It was at a coffee shop that Sui particularly liked. Song Chuching looked at her pale face, comforted her a bit, and said, "You don't need to worry too much." He stared at Sui's face for a long time, then turned his head away, unwilling to meet her gaze, and finally said what he truly meant, "Sui, let's break up." The breakup seemed to be something expected. After hearing Song Chuching's words, Sui did not react as he had anticipated. She neither accused nor condemned him, nor did she suddenly become furious or sad. She was more rational than ever. Taking a small sip of coffee, she asked Song Chuching softly, "You've made up your mind, haven't you?" In fact, there were many more questions she wanted to ask, like how he could have been so insincere for so many years. She also wanted to ask if, even without Ji-yun, he would have been just as decisive when he no longer needed Su family's support. Most of all, she wanted to ask if, from beginning to end, she, Sui, was merely a stepping stone for him to climb to greater heights. But all the questions ultimately boiled down to this one sentence. Song Chuching's eyes were downcast. He had always shown her gentleness and tolerance, so when he seemed a bit troubled and guilty, it made Sui feel particularly heartbroken. It made her hate her own softness, and even more, her lingering love for Song Chuching. She even felt like the third wheel, making Song Chuching feel torn, and she regretted pushing him so hard. "Sorry, Sui," said Song Chuching. Sui understood his determination, so she stopped talking about love and instead asked, "Is the financial issue with our company really just a minor one?" Song Chuching was caught off guard by her question and paused for a moment before saying yes. He probably felt a bit guilty and said, "If there's anything you need from me, just let me know. It's my fault." That was the last time they met. After that, Sui had no time to mourn their 5-year fake romance or to heal her battered body and heart. Soon, a greater misfortune struck. Her father suffered a stroke under immense pressure, and all the responsibilities fell on Sui and her siblings. Sui was forced to grow up overnight, abandoning her dreams of have fun everywhere and chasing freedom, and diving headfirst into the glamorous world of business. No longer the proud peacock with her head held high, she began to learn how to humble herself and play along with one client after another. As the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. The rivals, who had been watching the crumbling Su family like hawks, didn't let the opportunity slip by. Like wolves and tigers, they all tried to get a piece of the pie when the Su family was at its most vulnerable. After struggling to hold on for a long time, another client broke their contract one day, with the cash flow on the verge of collapse. Sui, utterly exhausted, suddenly thought of Song Chuching. She had numbed herself with work for a long time, yet in moments of helplessness, she would, pathetically, always think of Song Chuching. Even though they had parted ways, even though she had been deceived, she still yearned for the warmth he had once given her. She somehow found herself dialing Song Chuching's number. When he picked up, there was a long silence before he asked, "Sui, what's wrong?" Sui leaned back in her office chair, and after a long pause, she asked Song Chuching, "You once said that if I needed help, you would be there for me. Is that still true?" "Yes," Song Chuching replied decisively. "Then I need an investment fund." Suyi's voice was already weary. Song Chuching didn't hesitate much and quickly said, "Okay." If the story had ended there, someone like Sui, who was easygoing and soft-hearted, might have cut all ties with Song Chuching and called it even, but it didn't. Later, Sui didn't receive the investment funds and, when she called Song Chuching again, a woman answered the phone. Perhaps it was a woman's innate sixth sense, but the instant Sui heard the voice through the receiver, she immediately knew. The person on the other end of the line was Ji-yun. Ji-yun said, "Please don't disturb Chuching anymore. You and he were merely former business associates." Sui wasn't one to lose her temper easily. "Miss Ji, would you kindly put Song Chuching on the phone?" But Ji-yun replied, "Chuching has nothing to discuss with you, and there's no need for him to take the call." Before Sui could even speak, she heard Ji-yun ask, "Isn't that right, Ching?" Sui froze. After a long pause, she faintly heard the man on the other end of the line give a quiet ahm-hum. The call was quickly disconnected, yet Sui remained motionless. The phone still pressed to her ear. A few days later, instead of receiving the promised investment, she found herself facing Song Chuching, who had joined forces with her family's rivals to pressure the Su family. Together with others, Song Chuching blocked the Su family's clients from signing orders, pushing the already isolated family to the brink of ruin. Before they got together, Song Chuching promised to treat Sui well, but he broke his word. While they were dating, he said he was happy with Sui, but in reality, he didn't feel that way. After they broke up, he said he would help Sui, but he never did. Fortunately, Sui is a fighter who never gives up. Even with Song Chuching suppressing the Su family, she didn't become the camel crushed by the last straw. In the end, she had no one to rely on, no support to lean on. She went door to door, pleading her case, facing skeptical investors one after another, never letting a single opportunity slip by. Step by step, she managed to make a remarkable comeback. The hardships endured, the sleepless nights, the drinks consumed, the tears shed, all of that is water under the bridge now. Song Chuching sat in Suyi's office, engaging in a long, perfunctory conversation about matters of cooperation. Sui possessed a professionalism honed by time, as she meticulously discussed the terms with Song Chuching. She was like a polished, efficient professional machine, a far cry from the person she used to be. As the discussion about work concluded, the sky outside the floor-to-ceiling windows darkened, and the neon lights reflected off the bustling city, creating a somewhat romantic, colorful glow. Suyi's words hinted at the end of the meeting, but Song Chuching remained seated. "Let's have dinner together." Sui paused for a moment, then raised an eyebrow and asked, "On what grounds? For work? Or is this a personal invitation?" Her tone was light, as if she were talking to an ordinary client. "What if it were a personal invitation from me?" Song Chuching fixed his gaze on her. Sui immediately shook her head and said with a light laugh, "Then I'm afraid I'm busy, but you'd have time if it were for work." Sui gave him a fleeting glance. After a couple of seconds, a smile did indeed reappear on her face. "That depends. There's a commercial plot of land going up for auction soon. Would President Song be interested in a potential collaboration?" Her words were loaded with implication. The whole speech reeked of calculation. Song Chuching stared at her intently, feeling that despite their physical proximity, the Sui before him now seemed veiled by a thick, impenetrable mist. But he was a businessman who knew how to weigh pros and cons, and he knew exactly what he wanted most, so he merely furrowed his brow and asked, "If I agree to consider it, will you have dinner with me?" The meal was at a famous private kitchen restaurant downstairs from the company. Sui was very quiet throughout, the small private room filled with little more than the faint clinking of bowls and chopsticks. After dinner, Song Chuching insisted on seeing Sui home, his tone broking no argument. Perhaps worn out from a full day of meetings, Sui didn't refuse him this time as she had during their last encounter. She did, however, pause for a moment before getting into the car. Given Song Chuching's wealth, she had assumed his garage would be stocked with at least 8 or 10 cars, even if he wasn't in Ming City. Yet the car he drove today was a somewhat dated model. A tiny good luck charm dangled from the rearview mirror, and the air freshener on the dashboard was a style popular years ago, its base ring now yellowed with age. Sui closed her eyes. The memories she had tried so hard to forget suddenly surged back. In an instant, she recalled everything that had happened between her and Song Chuching inside this car, the drives filled with laughter, the kisses they couldn't bear to end, the moments of uncontrollable entanglement. Song Chuching glanced at Sui almost imperceptibly. Her fists were clenched. Yet shortly after the car started moving, she couldn't help but speak up. Mr. Song, you should consider getting a new car, Song Chuching countered. Why? It's too old, it doesn't suit you. Song Chuching remained silent for a long time, but like Sui, his words carried hidden meanings, his voice low. I once thought it wasn't right, but later found out it was the best. He glanced at Sui through the rearview mirror and saw her turn her face away, staring out the window in silence, as if she had a bitter smile tugging at the corner of her mouth, or perhaps no expression at all. When they got out of the car, Sui didn't even bother with polite words, just said goodbye and quickly opened the door, stepping out as if she couldn't bear to stay in the car for another second. Song Chuching followed her out of the car and rushed into the elevator after her, grabbing her forearm in one swift motion. Sui looked up at him. What do you mean, Mr. Song? Song Chuching held her hand tightly and said, let's talk. Sui stared at Song Chuching for a long time until the elevator stopped at her apartment floor. She seemed on the verge of getting angry, but then she let out a soft chuckle and said, word by word, I already told you before, if it's personal, there's nothing to discuss between us. She tried to pull her hand away but couldn't. In the struggle, a small section of her delicate, fair arm was exposed. Though not entirely flawless, a scar, over 10 centimeters long, twisted along her forearm, an old wound that now lay exposed before them, catching Song Chuching's eye and silencing him. Song Chuching knew better than anyone how Sui had gotten that scar. It was the winter night of their third year together, on the way to a business trip in a neighboring city, when Song Chuching's car was hit by a truck driver who had been driving while fatigued that same night. Sui had insisted on going with him and had ended up sitting in the passenger seat. Sui only had a few scratches, but he came to his senses first and jumped out of the car. Song Chuching was dazed and disoriented from the impact, likely with a fracture, and the door was severely deformed, making it impossible to open. Before they could call for road assistance, thick smoke started billowing from the front of the car, on the verge of catching fire. Ignoring the danger, Sui rushed to pry open the door on Song Chuching's side. That was the first time Song Chuching felt fear. He shouted at Sui, stay away, don't bother me. Sui, as if deaf, ignored him. With her hair disheveled, she grabbed a tool and started prying open the car door. Sui, even you won't listen to me. Song Chuching's veins bulged on his forehead. The snow was heavy, and Sui, outside in the sub-zero temperatures, was wearing only a thin coat. She was so slender, yet somehow found a surge of incredible strength. Against all odds, she managed to pry the car door open and haul Song Chuching out, dragging him with sheer force. It had only been a minute or two after she pulled him free when the car burst into flames. In the end, it was burned down to a charred metal skeleton. Song Chuching's eyes were bloodshot. Ignoring the agony of his broken bones, he was nothing like his usual, accommodating self around Sui. His voice, rare in its fury, lashed out at her. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? If that car had ignited just 1 second earlier, the explosion would have killed you too. Are you out of your mind? Sui shook her head repeatedly, utterly exhausted and her voice hoarse. She said bluntly, no, I can't do it. I can't live without you. Song Chuching was momentarily speechless, his anger and lingering fear all melted into a wave of bitter sorrow. Before the ambulance arrived, he pulled Sui into his arms. Song Chuching held her with immense force, his arms like steel bands, gripping her so tightly it was as if he wanted to press her into his very bones and blood. Even Song Chuching hadn't realized that his own face was wet with tears. Are you an idiot? He asked. Sui, however, smiled and said, not at all, I think it was worth it. Doesn't this count as sharing life and death? It wasn't until they were in the ambulance, under the bright interior lights, that they noticed the long, deep gash on Suyi's forearm from the sheet metal. The wound was severe and ultimately required 20 stitches. She didn't even flinch in pain, pointing proudly at the stitched-up wound as she said to Song Chuching, look, this is the proof of a warrior of love. Song Chuching felt a mix of amusement, helplessness, and irritation. Proof, this is a lesson from your reckless adventure. Didn't the doctor say you'll need skin rejuvenation to fix it later? I won't fix it, she said. Once the stitches are removed, I'll get our names tattooed on it, linking us together. After the car accident, Song Chuching got a new car, while Sui, an atheist, went and got a safety talisman for safe travels. Sui was a woman of her word. When she said she would do something, she followed through. Yet, in the end, she never got around to getting that tattoo. For reasons unknown, she also left that unsightly scar untouched. That scar was proof they had once been together. Now, it lay between Song Chuqing and Sui, a stark dividing line separating their past from their present. Both Song Chuqing and Sui's gazes lingered on it. In that fleeting moment, a pain shot from Song Chuqing's heart to his eyes, leaving him momentarily dazed. Sui let out a faint, dismissive ha, pulled her hand away, and turned to leave. Song Chuqing snapped back to his senses in an instant, his hand shooting out to clamp back down on her shoulder. Pain flickered in his eyes as he pleaded, "Don't go, Sui, please don't go." Sui looked up, coldly staring at him for a long time, and finally asked, "Song Chuqing, what exactly do you want to do?" He knew his wish was unrealistic, but he also knew that if he didn't say it now, there might never be another chance. "Can we start over?" Sui fell completely silent, his expression incredulous. "What are you talking about?" Before Song Chuqing could speak, his tone turned self-deprecating and slightly mocking. "Don't joke like that. I gave up on emotions years ago." Song Chuqing didn't want to let her go. Now, even getting close to her felt like a luxury. "I'm not joking. Ae, what can I do to earn your forgiveness?" "I'll do anything." Sui looked straight at him, her face devoid of even the initial polite smiles, leaving only the piercing coldness in her eyes. "Song Chuqing, don't say such things. You know very well that your words no longer hold any credibility with me." Perhaps it was the heavy night dew, or maybe she was just too exhausted, but she finally showed some emotion, revealing that she was in pain too. "I once asked you, could you not leave?" Song Chuqing was rendered speechless and finally pushed away by her forcefully. Sui strode forward, not allowing Song Chuqing to follow. Standing a few meters behind her, he suddenly asked, "How can I make it up to you? Buy that plot of land, complete that project. Can you give me a chance?" Sui suddenly stopped in her tracks. After a long pause, she said, "Maybe." When the land auction began, Song Chuqing and Sui were seated next to each other. The auctioneer announced the opening bid. Instead of immediately raising his paddle, Song Chuqing turned to Sui and asked, "If I win this bid, will you forgive me a little?" Sui remained silent. Without pressing her further, Song Chuqing placed a higher bid and entered the fray. As the bids climbed higher and higher, the casual onlookers gradually dropped out, leaving only 2 or 3 serious contenders to raise their paddles in turn. Song Chuqing was determined. In the end, only one other bidder remained to compete with him. His opponent seemed supremely confident about securing the land, matching Song Chuqing's every bid without hesitation. The opposing bid was substantial. The auctioneer on the podium asked, 950 million on the table. Mr. Song, do you wish to raise? Song Chuqing wasn't in a hurry. He turned to Sui, seeking her opinion with his eyes. Sui didn't look at him, only gently reminded him, "If we raise the price again, the profit margin will be very small." 950 million yuan. Once, the auctioneer called out, "What do you think? You still want me to bid for it, right?" Sui avoided his gaze. After a moment's silence and a hint of hesitation, she said yes. 950 million, going twice. Sitting beside Sui after all these years, Song Chuqing could still hear the pounding of his own heart. He remembered Ji Yun asking him point-blank years ago, "Do you feel guilty toward her? Or have you already fallen for her?" He quickly retorted, "I didn't." It was clear that Ji Yun had played a part in pushing him and Sui together, but in the end, Ji Yun herself began to feel the anxiety of fear of losing him. She threw his phone to the ground and said, "Then prove it to me. If you don't like her, you shouldn't be soft-hearted towards her. You should take your share of the Su family's pie." Song Chuqing looked at the hysterical Ji Yun and finally said okay. He began to suppress the Su family, all while profiting from it. He wasn't unaware of Su Yi's desperate efforts to raise funds, yet he still went for the jugular, trying to prove to himself that he truly had no feelings for her. He didn't know if he was doing this to convince Ji Yun, or to convince himself. Even when he and Ji Yun broke up, and she smashed shards across the floor, crying, "I think you do have feelings for her in your heart," he still flatly denied it. No, impossible. He refused to believe he had actually fallen for his own lie, and he dared not admit that he had genuinely developed feelings for Sui. It was only later, when a business partner remarked offhandedly, that Sui from Ning City is a real force. Even as sick as she was recently, she still managed to close several major deals. His heart skipped a beat. He tossed and turned for many nights after that, unable to resist the urge to check on her. Using some rather underhanded methods, he obtained Suyi's medical records. He saw she had recently undergone a gastrointestinal exam, but he also discovered that, years ago, she had undergone an induced abortion procedure. Song Chuching rarely experienced intense emotions, but this feeling was something he never wanted to experience again in his life. It was as if the delayed pain suddenly struck him, making the few lines of the medical report seem obscure and incomprehensible. He kept checking the date over and over again, realizing it was exactly half a month before he and Sui broke up. He hesitated for a long time, until a client asked if he wanted to visit Ning City, finally giving him an excuse to return. He could no longer deceive himself and had to admit that he had long since fallen in love with Sui. Song Chuching raised his paddle just before the auctioneer called out the third bid. He looked calm and smiled, saying, I won't deceive you anymore. Whatever you want, it's yours. Sui was momentarily stunned, feeling a sense of déjà vu. He used to say the same thing when he was coaxing her. She finally met his gaze, her expression complicated, unsure whether she was happy or sad. Mr. Song bids 11 billion, any higher offers. The price had exceeded everyone's expectations, and the anonymous bidder finally backed off, no longer engaging in a bidding war with Song Chuching. The land deal wasn't a complete loss, but the profit margin was indeed very slim. Shortly after the auction, just as they had secured the funds and were preparing to finalize the next steps, Song Chuching's company was reported for tax issues. Under normal circumstances, this would be considered a minor issue. Companies always find ways to manipulate their taxes, and various tax avoidance tactics are common, so it's nothing out of the ordinary at this time, when cash flow is tight. This situation has left Song Chuching feeling the pinch, and negative news is gradually surfacing outside. Before long, a case was filed regarding the company's tax issues, and Song Chuching was summoned by the public security authorities several times, spending increasingly longer periods at the police station each time. Sui didn't reach out to him, but one evening, Song Chuching called Sui to ask how she was doing. Naturally, everything is as usual for me, but it's surprising that Mr. Song still has the mind to care about me at a time like this. Song Chuching's tone was surprisingly light, free from the despondency of being mired in public controversy. He simply uttered an and fell silent, leaving only the faint sound of their breathing on the line. It was a long while before the call was finally ended, before he was once again summoned to the police station. A company executive was briefing him on the recent negative publicity and financial pressures, reporting that morale was unstable and some shareholders, taking a pessimistic view, had already begun offloading their holdings. Song Chuching abruptly cut off his subordinate, asking, "And have there been any buyers?" The subordinate paused for a moment. The acquiring parties aren't exactly well-known companies. Before he could ask any detailed questions, Song Chuching was summoned away by the judicial authorities again. This time, he stayed at the bureau for an unusually long time, and the external public opinion became even more intense. Some even began to spread rumors that he had been arrested, causing the company's stock value to plummet. Some partners also started to hesitate about renewing contracts as the tax issue was being investigated and awaited trial. Song Chuching had already been in and out of the police station 4 times. His subordinates were anxious as they watched the shareholders gradually sell off their shares, but Song Chuching himself remained unmoved, saying, "Victory and defeat are common in war." The night before the trial, Song Chuching suddenly felt inspired and drove to the top of a mountain in the suburbs. It was an overcast day, and even at the top of the mountain at night, with no artificial light, the stars were barely visible. He stood on the mountaintop for a long time, until the night dew had soaked his clothes slightly. Just as he was about to leave, headlights suddenly illuminated the area. The headlights shone on Song Chuching, casting a long shadow. The driver might have been startled, as they abruptly hit the brakes, and the tires screeched sharply in the silence. In the darkness, Sui got out of the car, standing a few meters away, and asked, "Why are you here?" Song Chuching quietly watched her, as if through this moment, he could glimpse the past when he had confessed to Sui here years ago. "The trial is in 2 days. I thought I'd come and take a look. What's worth seeing?" Instead of answering directly, Song Chuching asked, "What about you? Why did you come?" Sui glanced at him. "For me, this is where a huge lie began. I constantly remind myself not to forget." Song Chuching was speechless. Sui initially tried to suppress her emotions, but after a while, she couldn't help but lash out with sarcasm. "Why are you here? The trial is about to start, and you still have the mood for this." The crisis Song Chuching faces today bears a striking resemblance to the one the Su family encountered back then, both mired in dire financial straits. Yet, Song Chuching wasn't as desperate as Sui had been all those years ago. He gave a faint smile and asked Sui, "Isn't this exactly what you wanted to see?" He seemed to have shed all his burdens, speaking with an air of relief. "Sui, haven't you been waiting for this day since we started working together? Su Yi's expression froze, his face going blank for several seconds. After a long silence, her tone lost its sarcasm and was filled with confusion. You knew from the beginning. Song Chuching smiled indifferently and said, I told you, I never lied to you. As long as you like, anything is possible. Why? Su Yi couldn't understand why someone as resourceful as him would suddenly jump into the fire willingly. Song Chuching gazed at the endless dark clouds over the mountain peak. The first time we came here, I had almost nothing. The beginning of everything I have is connected to you. Later, I got what I wanted, only to realize I was wrong from the start. I often think, if only I could go back to the past. Su Yi uttered 3 words. Impossible. Song Chuching seemed determined to pour out everything he had held back all at once. You never told me back then that we were going to have a child, Su Yi. All these years, the thought of you lying in that operating room, it's been unbearable for me. Regret, anguish, and pain were written all over Song Chuching's face. Su Yi looked straight at him, took a deep breath to steady herself, and said, It wasn't that painful, really. She spoke as if it were a trivial, inconsequential matter. It wasn't fully formed yet. It wasn't a life. Once the anesthesia kicked in, I didn't feel a thing. It was just like cutting out a piece of flesh from your body, no different from having your appendix removed. Not much blood was lost. Anyway, everything cut off was discarded as medical waste. No one saw it. She paused, her voice soft but her gaze fixed on Song Chuching. Even if we could go back in time, even if I told you, would it make a difference? Would it ultimately be kept? Song Chuching wanted to say yes, but Su Yi seemed lost in memories, recalling the past. Back then, we were young, and when we found out about it, I first felt panic, but later, I thought, maybe it was also good news. Maybe you would be happy. When I was eager to tell you, I found out that our relationship was just a joke. Later, in her despair, she once asked Song Chuching why he had to suppress the Su family. At that time, Song Chuching said, I've already wronged you. I can't wrong Ji Yun anymore. She also asked Song Chuching if he had ever truly loved her. After a long hesitation, he finally said no. Song Chuching, everything can't go back to the way it was. From the moment you stood on this mountaintop and lied to me, saying you liked me, it was destined that we would end up as enemies. The past you long for is the one I detest the most. Song Chuching looked at her and suddenly sighed. The harm has already been done. If punishing me can make you feel better, I am willing to lose everything. After all, everything I have comes from you. Su Yi felt a pang of pain in her eyes. After a long silence in the night breeze, she drove down the mountain late at night, while Song Chuching followed behind her, silent like a silent follower. As the car entered the city, it finally started to rain. The expressway in the city was nearly empty at dawn. Su Yi was feeling frustrated, driving at a decent speed, when suddenly, at a turning point, blinding headlights shone directly at her. She instinctively turned the steering wheel but heard a loud crash. When she came to her senses, her car had hit the edge of a flower bed on the side of the road, and there was another car between her and the truck. The same person, the same memories, the same scene reappeared. Su Yi reacted almost instinctively, fumbling to call for help and then rushing to open the door of Song Chuching's car. The downpour had drenched her completely, her fingers trembling as she cried out, Song Chuching. Just as she pulled the car door open, a warm hand closed over hers, and a voice said, I'm okay. Perhaps the protective charm in the car had worked its magic. The passenger seat was utterly crushed, yet Song Chuching was largely unharmed. Su Yi stood frozen in place, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm, while Song Chuching held her hand, repeating softly, Don't be afraid, Su Yi, I'm alright. Soaked and disheveled in the downpour, Su Yi finally snapped back to her senses. Abandoning all decorum, she lashed out at him. Are you out of your goddamn mind? What the hell were you thinking, using your own car as a shield? Song Chuching got out of the car to calm her, but she shoved him away violently. The push was too forceful, or perhaps it was the aftershock of fear. She lost her own balance and tumbled to the ground. Song Chuching's eyes reddened. It was as if he had finally glimpsed the real Su Yi, casting caution aside, he dropped to one knee, pulled her into his arms, and held her there in a desperate, unyielding embrace. You're worried something might happen to me, aren't you? You still care about me. Utterly exhausted, Su Yi let him hold her, and suddenly, tears began to fall like rain. The salty tears mingled with the rain as she leaned against Song Chuching's shoulder, drawing a small measure of security from him. In the end, she still struggled to her feet and left. It was rare for her to show such vulnerability and anguish in front of Song Chuching. Perhaps it's not about caring, she said, it's just a habit. Love is an instinct, but hatred is a habit. Song Chuching, we can't erase that wretched past. A broken mirror cannot be made whole. no matter how you try to cover it up, the scar is still there. I hate you so much. It causes me such agony. Her hatred grew out of love, becoming a sharp blade that wounded Song Chuching and herself. Song Chuching's lawyer was highly professional, and after 2 rounds of trial, the outcome was merely a fine, far from landing him in jail. Those who had been worried about Song Chuching breathed a sigh of relief. An underling remarked, "This time, we were really lucky." Fortunately, the companies we acquired shares from didn't engage in malicious selling recently, allowing us to weather this period. Song Chuching seemed lost in thought. When he went to find Sui, she refused to meet him and only answered his call over the phone. He asked, "Why, what made you suddenly soften?" Sui, however, didn't give a straightforward reason. Instead, she asked him, "Actually, there's something I've been wondering about. I think I have an idea, but I want to hear the truth from you. I once asked you if you ever truly liked me, and you said no." "No, that's not it. I just wasn't willing to admit it back then." Sui asked again, "So, have you ever regretted it?" "Of course I have, many times." She seemed to relax a little. "Then, about your car, I heard from the garage that the damage is too extensive, it's beyond repair, but that car was ancient anyway, it was time to scrap it." She paused. "This is for the best. Ning City isn't really a livable place, the air quality isn't great, your main business isn't here anyway, so don't stay here too long." "Sui, what do you mean?" "It means we shouldn't see each other anymore." "No, we still like each other. And you still can't bear to hurt me." Sui let out a soft sigh. I don't want to be stuck here anymore." It suddenly hit me. I don't want to be trapped by hatred and end up like you and Ji Yun, scheming and calculating every step of the way. The truth is, both you and I have already lost. I don't want to look back on all this years from now and feel the same guilt and regret that you do." Song Chuching, "I think it's time for me to move on." Song Chuching looked up at the skyscraper. He once thought he could still be so close to Sui, only to realize in the end that they were forever separated by a chasm as vast as these towering buildings. At this moment, he finally understood, with a sense of helpless resignation, that perhaps Sui would find new love, that she would bestow her affection upon someone else once more. It was just that person could never be him again. All he could do was to stay away from her life, to not see her, to not speak a single word to her, to not let her remember him. Only then could she let fade those blood-soaked memories of love and hatred from the past. Song Chuching, let bygones be bygones. I don't blame you anymore. The call ended. On the bustling street, a steady stream of traffic flowed, and crowds of people came and went along the busy thoroughfare. In the end, he was the only one left, stranded and alone.